So we officially announced the signing of Michael Lorenzen. Really excited to have him. I think it adds to the depth of our starting pitching and overall lengthening out our bullpen a little bit as well. So I think he's a great fit, great person, hard worker. Obviously had a great year last year and sort of fell through the cracks of free agency. This was really a very good signing for us, and grateful to ownership for stepping up and allowing us to make this move. And I think Michael's going to be a huge addition to our team and help get us through the early part of the season, especially when we may be a little thin with our pitching. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
How long will it take him to get ready to be a starting
pitcher? That's a great question. I think Michael may be able to speak to that a little bit more, but he is built up pretty well right now. That said, it hasn't been in a major league spring training environment in front of fans, and so there are steps that we want to pass in terms of making sure he's fully healthy and ready to start the season. He and Mike have had a good discussion this morning. I think we have a little bit of a game plan over the next 5 or 6 days. There is the possibility that he'll be ready and active on the opening day roster, but we want to build him up in a responsible manner, and we want to make sure he passes the test in the next few days before committing to that.
What sort of things are you guys looking for in that vein in terms of just check boxes?
Well, he's got to get his legs underneath him. He hasn't done any PFPs. He hasn't done the normal baseball movements that these other guys have been doing for 6 weeks. And so there's new sorenesses that come with that. There's new adrenaline, new intensity, and we need to make sure that we're responsible. He's an important part of our team, and we need to make sure that we're very responsible in putting him through this build-up and making sure he's ready to go compete in front of what's going to be a great opening day crowd and first weekend and early part of the season. So there will be a new adrenaline for all of these guys when they get in that environment, and having a spring training to build up to that is very critical.
So is there, I know he's been throwing, is there like a way to label the quality of that in terms of prep for a season versus what he did?
It's hard. Before we signed him, I saw video and data from his last live BP that he was throwing. I don't know who the hitters were, but the data and the video, he looked great. The delivery was great. The pitches were great. The quality, the velocity, all the metrics suggested he's right where he should be. That said, it's not in a stadium in front of 7,000 or 8,000 fans in a big league environment, and so we can't take for granted that there's a little bit more to go here.
And the highest in terms of pitches that he's thrown, do you know?
I believe it was around 70. Mm-hmm.
Was that live BP, the Cal State Bulletin one?
I'm not positive on the location, but it may have been. Yeah.
So how far back was the discussion going with him? Did it just happen, or have y'all been slowly?
It came together in the last several days. I think our needs were very clear in terms of wanting to really provide more depth and protect our the early part of the season here while Max is down, and then Tyler and Jacob. And this is one of the things that I love about Michael is that he knows that guys are coming back, and he's going to have the opportunity to start here, and he knows guys are coming back, and that didn't faze him. He wants to win first and foremost, and just said he understands it's a performance-based game, and he says if I'm performing, he expects that he'll stay in the rotation, and I appreciate that. I've been in his shoes before. I've fallen through the cracks of free agency, and I know how it feels, and I also know the conviction and belief you have to have in yourself, and he has that. We're really excited he's here.
Does this mean Cody is long man?
Cody is going to make a start in the rotation for sure. Beyond that, we'll figure it out. He may stay in the rotation. We've got a lot to work through, but Cody has earned the right to start in the rotation.
So this may be a better question for both, but is there some chance that you would go like out of the gate with 6?
Well, I think we're definitely going to need 6 at some point in the first month of the season when we have the 17 straight. We're going to need somebody in that spot to spot start. So that will come up at some point. We will consider 6-man spot starters, piggybacks. Everything's on the table, and I think what this signing does is it gives us more versatility and ways to put these guys in the best position to succeed.
So
he had a breakout season last year, and then obviously a great splash in Philadelphia, and then it kind of struggled after that. Y'all determined what that was and what the cause of that
was? Well, Kevin, I think a lot of it was just the overall workload and volume. He performed great. And again, so much of this is relatable to me. When you have seasons where you push limits and boundaries that you've never been, at some point you're going to hit a natural fatigue. He's now been through that, and I think that wall, that barrier has been pushed back based on what he did last year. And I do know in talking to him, he's extremely motivated. He's ultra competitive, and he wants to win, and he's got a chip on his shoulder, and we're excited to see what that looks like.
See, I know when he's at his best, gets balls on the ground. Does having the infield that you guys have built defensively help, I don't know, elevate the acquisition or?
Yeah, Jared, it's a great question. It's come up in every conversation with free agent pitching this offseason, that people recognize how good our defense is, and I think that's certainly a selling point, that we do play very good defense. We're a very fundamentally sound team, and pitchers know they'll benefit from that. It's a great question.
So if Michael is on the opening day roster, he'd be as a reliever?
Potentially. I think as we build him up, we just need to do it responsibly. So I can't commit to the exact role yet for the first, at the beginning. He will start. I want to make that clear. He will start as soon as he is fully built up and ready to do so. That may be the first week of the season. It may take, it may take 10 days or so to make sure he's ready for that. But he will be in the starting rotation.
How are things looking as far as you guys?
I was hoping I could get out of here before any other roster questions. Corey and Josh are doing great, and Boch can speak to this too. But they're really doing well. I think they're trending towards being ready for opening day. Still want to see how these next few days go, but they're in a great spot. We're really excited about where they are. Our training staff, medical group has done a phenomenal job with both those guys, and really, those guys, their commitment to being back and ready has been just tremendous. It speaks to their character. I'm very thankful to both of them for the work that they've put in to put themselves in this spot. So they're both trending the right direction. But let's pass the next few tests here and make sure they're ready. So we shall see.
See why I know it's a formality, but you've got that group of guys that you have to notify by tomorrow. Have you had any conversations and told anybody anything that you can share with us?
Yes, we have notified Chason, Shreve that he's not going to be on the opening day roster. Same with Shane Green. We've allowed those guys to explore their outs. We wanted to have that conversation early. We did it before the off day in an effort to do right by the players. We've had the same conversation with Danny Duffy. We would be thrilled to have all of these guys back with us. We think that they've had great springs. We can see that they may help us very soon here in the season, but just there's only so many spots. And very honestly, our bullpen arms have performed very well this spring. It's a great problem to have, but it also makes for really tough decisions and sleepless nights for both me and Boch and Mike Maddox. We've been meeting all morning talking through these things, and how well all of these guys pitched. There are going to be some guys that deserve to make this team that aren't going to, and it really speaks to how competitive this spring has been and how well these guys have performed.
And Duffy, you mentioned the first two, and then you mentioned Duffy, so I didn't. Is Duffy like
I was trying to go through in order in terms of the conversations we've had, but again,
same group.
Danny Duffy's in that mix too. That is not going to be on the opening day roster, but if he has the option of taking his out, and but we hope that he will remain in the organization. And if there are big league opportunities for any of these guys, we want them to take those opportunities. That's they deserve that.
What's your assessment of what you've been able to accomplish here as you break camp and the excitement level for the season?
Well, I told the staff this morning I'm so grateful to the work that everybody's put in. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day, and we're a lot of moving parts, and so I wanted to thank the staff this morning in our coaches meeting for just how wonderful this camp has run. It's been amazing to see the staff just continue what they built last year, the relationships. It has been so smooth for me. This is my 4th spring training with the Rangers. By far the easiest. I've been able just to step back and almost at times say, what am I doing today? These guys have it handled, and they've made this camp very smooth. The players all came in tremendous shape. It's been just a great spring, and I think this team is ready. We obviously need a couple guys to come back, but this team's ready to go compete, and I'm just thrilled for the way things have gone this spring, and excited for our group as we start the season here.
Was your first big league spring training 03 or 04?
It was actually 05. I got called up. I was in Montreal minor league camp in 04, and at the end of that spring got traded to Texas, and then I got called up in August of 04, but I had not been to a big league camp. And then my first big league camp was 05 here in Surprise with the Rangers. But, my memory from that, Evan, is that it's a great lesson that there are going to be guys that weren't in big league camp that are going to get called up and contribute to our team this year. There are going to be guys that are in that locker room right now that aren't making the opening day roster who are going to be major contributors to our team this season. And so it just goes to show that we focus on the opening day roster, and by game 2, 3, 4, we're making several roster moves. It's not about the group necessarily that's on there. It's about the collection of talent in the organization, all of whom are going to contribute over the course of the season.
What have you, to that end, what have you thought of Jack's spring? Like,
Jack's done great, and he's still in big league camp because he's performed and earned that opportunity. Jack will come to Texas with us, and I don't know if he's going to pitch in any of the exhibition games he's throwing today, but he's had a great spring, and our expectation is if Jack continues to trend the way he has, he will help us out. I think it's unlikely he will be on the opening day roster. That said, he's probably pitched well enough to deserve some consideration. The best thing for Jack's development is likely to continue this success in AAA for a period of time, but he's in consideration based on how he's performed to help us at any point should somebody go down or should somebody underperform or he perform to a level that warrants consideration there.
But this was the 2021 Rangers when he had made the opening day.
I think there are a lot of guys that would have made the opening day roster there. It's where the decision making's come a long way. And look, when I came in, this organization had committed to a rebuild, and there were some hard times there, but really commend Ray and JD at the time for the way they set this rebuild up, and I think right now we're benefiting from that.
You're in such a different position than you've been in previous years, as anybody's been, but like you mentioned, there have been a bunch of guys who have performed really well.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, over the next 24 hours, 48 hours, weigh protecting all your assets versus rewarding that spring performance?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a question that really falls on us as a front office, that we have to look at the big picture. And I want to word this correctly. We are building a roster for the entire season, and the preservation of talent to help us at different points in the season is a critical part to roster construction. And what stinks about that is that there are guys who have pitched well enough to earn one of those 13 spots on the roster and 13 position player spots as well, who may not make that. And it's a hard part of this job, and it's one of the realities of being a major league player is that there are only 26 spots at any given time.
Yeah, but the one thing JD said as he grew into this job more and more is you can't get swayed by spring performance.
Yeah,
because it's such a small sample size, right?
That's right. And the conditions here are very tough to evaluate. Very frankly, I think Arizona baseball is a little more challenging than Florida baseball. It's why we're very driven by our R&D department with some of our evaluations. We're not looking at just the surface level stats. We try to look at the predictive stats and see what may translate into regular season success. And so we have these conversations every day. We have roster construction meetings every week. It's really an interesting process as we try to evaluate and determine what the best, and I don't want to look past. Every game matters. We saw that last year. A win on opening day matters because it may mean you don't have to win the last day of the regular season. So it's really important that we get out of the gates well. I know it's been on the mind of Boach and the coaching staff, and we don't take that for granted. That we need to have the best team on the field opening day. We also need to have as much depth as possible in the organization over the course of the season.
That would seem to bode well for Jose Urania.
Jose's had a great spring. He's put himself in a great spot. He has an out coming up tomorrow. We've got a decision to make very soon on him, but he's in a great spot.